Hey, what's up everybody, it's Infinite here, and in this tutorial we are going to learn to replace this guy right in After Effects without the use of any third-party plugins. Now the most important thing if you're starting out with VFX or just in general is replacing this guy, and that's really important. It's because your camera, your camera cannot capture always the beautiful sky that you see in movies. And let me show you. This is the before, and after replacing this guy you can make a shot look like this or something. This is such a boring shot, you'll see the before, but if you see the after, it's turned completely into something different else. So you can create such fantasy
Yeah, boy.
animations and a lot of stuff if you learn how to replace this guy. So let's see. So let's start and let's check what we're going to learn today. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so let's get started. Before starting, see that you download the project files. The link is in the description. So once you have downloaded, just select and import it into After Effects and onto the project window, and we'll select the raw the footage that we are going to replace this guy, and let's create a new composition out of it. So click and drag on this little icon and it will create a new composition with the same settings as our footage. Suppose we are adding this guy, and this is not a static shot, there is some movement in the shot. Now let me show you a quick example what I'm talking about. Let's create a new text and name it hello. Once again, let me change the color and the little quick. Okay, so we have the text hello, and if you just play back, let me just play back, you'll see that it's just lying on the screen and it's not going along with the scene. Now we need this thing to be tracked to the scene. If suppose there is a moving shot and you need to add any element, let it be any element, let it be a text or anything, you always need to track the footage. It can either be a 2D track or a 3D track. It totally depends upon the footage. Now if you're starting out, it will be a little difficult for you to understand, but don't worry, as you are learning you'll get the idea. So we are going to track the footage first, so let's do it. Now select the layer and go to the tracker panel. If you cannot see the tracker panel, just go to window, tracker, it will be right here, and select track motion. Now once you see, you will be open in the layer panel. What we'll do is full screen the window, press tilde key on a keyboard, and you'll see one track point which After Effects has created. We are just going to place this in a little contrasty area. Let me show you why. This tracker needs a good detailed area to track. Now if you just start tracking right here in this sky, the sky is, you see, it's completely blue. The tracker will be a little confused. If you just press the analyze forward, you'll see that it's just going out of, the tracker doesn't know what to do because the sky is completely, it's evenly lit, so there are no detail. So you need a little detailed area. So what we'll do is full screen, we are going to set the tracking point in between of the black and the white. So somewhere between, and see that your resolution is full, somewhere between here, and just decrease this and the search area. And what we are going to do is we'll analyze forward. Let's see how the tracker works. Don't worry if it fails at first, because this is a trial and error process. So let's see. Go to the beginning of your timeline and let's set it to between the black and the white, and let's track forward. You'll see that it's holding on to that point. It is out of frame, don't worry, we'll see what happened. You'll see that this point is sticking onto the scene now, if you see. So that's a pretty good track that we have. Now what we need to do is we need to store this data somewhere. Currently it's just floating around in space, so we need to store it in an object. So right click on this, new null object. Null object is basically a empty object which can hold some data. So let's rename it to tracker data. Just press enter if you need to rename. And what we'll do is, again, if you cannot see this is just double click on your layer, you will get this. The first thing we'll do is edit target layer, and we'll set it to the null object, apply motion to, okay, and then hit apply dimension X and Y. Okay, now if you go to the composition, you'll see that there is this red object created which is basically perfectly tracked on to the scene. Now let me show you how it's helpful. let's create another new text layer, and I'm going to type in hello once again. So just get it here. Now if you see, let me play back without, you'll see that it's not tracked to the scene. But if you just select the hello layer, select the pick whip tool and just parent it to the tracker data, and now if you play back, you'll see that it's tracked to the scene, and that's what we need. We need the sky once we are replaced to track on to the scene. So now since we have it, now let's see how we are going to replace the sky. You can delete the hello layer, we don't need it anymore. Go to the effects and presets and search for the effect color range and click and drop it onto our main layer. And you will see, if you cannot see the effects control panel, go to window, effects controls, select on the layer, select the eyedropper tool and click on the blue area that you need to remove. So I'll click here. You'll see that it has started to fade away. You can switch it to transparency grid to see it much better. So this part is transparent now. So click on the plus icon and keep on just sampling the area until it's done, and select plus, and let's remove the light area. And here is another problem. You'll see that this part is way more dark, and it's now if you just try to remove it, you'll see that our character has also been it's kind of eroded and we don't need it, and we still have this fringes right here, and you'll see that our character is fading. We don't need that. How do we solve that? Okay, so hide the color range effect. We need the sky to be evenly lit in order for the color range effect to work. Now if you see, here it's light blue, here it's dark blue, and here it's way more darker than expected. So what we'll do is we'll create a new adjustment layer, right click, new, no, not an adjustment layer, go to the raw main and search for the effect exposure, click and drop it onto the footage, and now we'll just get it above the color range effect. We'll just increase the exposure until this is the edges are bright, so somewhat like this. Don't worry about this, we'll fix this. Now what we can do is we can tell the exposure effect to only affect the top area. How do we do that? Select the pen tool. Once you've selected, just draw a rough mask on the top part of the footage where it was dark. Now once you have drawn, you'll see that our footage is cut, but don't worry, we'll fix that. Just open this, go to effects, go to exposure. Now we'll tell the exposure to only affect the drawn area that we have created. So go to you'll see the compositing options, just select the plus icon. Now you'll see that the exposure effect has been only affected the top part where we have drawn. Now just hit F on your keyboard, you'll see the mask feather, and increase the feather until it's uniform, somewhat like this. So here is the before and here is the after. Now if you select the color range, just reset the color range effect and enable it. Select the pen tool and now sample the area. So plus, we don't want plus, we don't need this plus, we don't need plus. Continue sampling until it's completely gone. And in the effects control, you can see the screen matte of it. Even if you play, let's go to half res. Let's see what's happening here. Full. I think it has done a pretty good job, but there are still a few, I can see a few noise areas such as this. Go to the plus. By the way, you can just switch it to transparency grid so that it's a little easy for you. And now there's one more problem. The edges are a little bit too hard and we don't need that. So what we can do is we can search for the effect key cleaner. It's called key cleaner. Just click and drop onto your footage. Now you'll see that the edges have turned a lot more soft, and you can see the before. Here is the before and here is the after. We can decrease the edge radius to somewhere around 3 or 4, and that's much better. So before, after. Let me show you. Here is the before and here is the after. So we are done with the first part, that is removing the sky, and we have also tracked our shot. Now we only need to do is we need to add the sky and blend it along with the video. So you'll see the footage. So just click and drop it beneath our video and you'll see that we have our sky. Now I've told you that we need to track it to our scene. So we have created the tracking data. All you need to do is just select this tool, this pick-flip tool, and just parent it to the tracking data. And now it's tracked onto the scene, but you'll see that it's going out of frame. Don't worry, it's a simple fix. Just select the sky layer, hit S on your keyboard and increase the scale, and we are going to also going to rotate it. Just hit R on your keyboard, R, and let's rotate it to match the perspective of the video, somewhere around here. Okay, so we are done with the first part. If you see something like this, just increase the scale and we are done. So the sky is tracked to the scene, but you'll see that we have a little, this looks so weird right now.
Oh shit, here we go again.
How do we fix that? We need to create, first of all, the footage doesn't have any contrast, so let's create some contrast. Search for the effect curves, click and drop it onto the raw main footage and create a S curve until it's completely black. You can hide the sky layer for some time. So you'll see the before adding the curves. Let's get more before, and here's the after, before, after. Okay, now you can enable the sky back again. Now this still is a little bit dark, so what we'll do is, you have the sky layer selected, hit Ctrl D on your keyboard to duplicate the layer and go to the blending mode. If you cannot see the blending mode, just toggle the switch and change the blending mode to add. Now you'll see that the sky is brightened up. What you do, hit Ctrl D again so that it's more bright, and what we'll do here is hit T on your keyboard with this layer selected, the latest sky layer, and just decrease the opacity to around 39, and also so that we have a little better this thing. You get the idea, right? And what we can do is we can get the sky layer, select all the three sky and get it a little more at the side so that we have the bright area around our subject and it's not fading in the background. Okay, so after this, let's add some glow. So create a new adjustment layer, right click, new adjustment layer, and rename it to glow, and search for the effect. Now I had used a third-party plugin to do this, but don't worry, let me just show you the outcome with the third-party plugin. You'll see that it creates this beautiful little...
Wait a minute! Who are you?
It's so beautiful. If you just adjust a few settings here and there, you'll see that it has already created such a beautiful looking sky, a glow, and it's called deep glow, but I know that since not everyone will have it, so let's do it with the default glow. The default glow is a little irritating, but that's okay. Just select glow and put it onto the footage. Right away you'll see something like this. Just increase the threshold and also the radius a little bit. And what we'll do is we'll duplicate this glow. So select on this glow, hit Ctrl D and play around with the settings as I'm doing. You can copy my values so that there's no problem in that, and just adjust it. Again Ctrl D, duplicate it once more, play around with the threshold, increase the radius, and also go in with the intensity. And we'll add in the last glow, so hit Ctrl D again and set the glow intensity to 0.1, threshold to somewhere around here, and increase the radius. So let us check the before and after. Here is the before and here's the after, before, after. So once we are done with this, now what we'll do is, okay, let me show you a little trick here. Select the sky layer, hit Ctrl D once again, and solo this layer so that we only see this layer, and increase the opacity to 100. Now just get this sky right here and let us check. You'll see that we can create more depth by adding layers of sky, but you might see this kind of hard edges around here. So what we can do is solo this layer so that it's easy for us to work on. Select the ellipse tool, just click and hold to get this drop down menu, and just create an ellipse in the middle and hit F on your keyboard to get in the mask feather and increase this to somewhere around here. So you can add such more elements to add in more depth to your scene. You can see here was the before and here is the after. So that was just an idea, you can play around with it. And what we are going to do here is, I think the feather is too much, I'll decrease it. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is we'll create another new adjustment layer. So right click in a new adjustment layer and let's rename it to CC, that is our color correction. And now I recently discovered this effect called as photo filter. So search for the effect photo filter and drop it onto the adjustment layer. Now here are a bunch of pretty cool presets such as the deep red, and now you can just increase the intensity to get a whole different look to your scene. Suppose you're going for that red look, you can increase it or keep it purple, or just totally depends upon you. There are a bunch of cool. I'm going to select, I like the deep red, I'll just increase the intensity a little bit. So before, after, or you can also keep it deep blue and decrease before, after. And what we'll also do, right click, new adjustment layer, let's rename it to curves and search for the effect curves and drop it onto the curves adjustment. Now we'll just color correct our footage as per our liking. I'm going to increase the contrast at first and just a little. Going to the red channel, I'll increase the red channel a little bit. We don't need green, so I'm going to decrease the green channel. Also going to the blue, just getting it down. So before, after, and just decrease the opacity so we get it a little less. So let me show you until now what we have done. Before, after, before, after. Now let me show you another little trick. What we'll do is we can add in like a few planets. We can add in meteor flying by, and whatever you think you can add it to your scene because everything is already set up to you. Let me show you another little trick. Let's add in some meteor falling. So what we'll do is composition, create a new composition, so that it's 4 seconds long, and let's name it meteor. Click on OK and select the pen tool and just create a little line somewhat around like this. See that the fill is set to none and the stroke is set to around 8 pixels. You'll see that we have created this line. Now open this little menu, go to contents, go to shape 1, go to stroke 1, taper, and just increase the starting length and also increase the end length. So we have a line like this, and let's animate it. So hit P on your keyboard and see that you're in the beginning of the timeline. Just get it here out of the frame and set a keyframe to the position. Go around 2 seconds ahead in your timeline and just get it here and see that you enable motion blur onto your scene. So let's see what we have created. Oh, this looks so weird currently. Wait a 1 second. I think it will be ideal for it to go here, and just smoothen out the keyframe. Select it and hit F9 on your keyboard, or just right click keyframe assistant. Easy is them. So let's see what we have created. I think the rotation is a little way more up. Let's rotate it. R. And yeah, this is much better. So we have created this. Let's preview it again. I think this needs to be scaled down. So what we have something like this. Again, I'm just giving you an idea. You can experiment around it. Now you'll see in the project manager, you'll see the meteor composition. Just drag it on down here below the raw main, and now if you just play back, hit 0 on the numpad or hit spacebar to render it out. It will take some time, don't worry about that. So let's see. Again, if you need to just shorten this, just drag this thing down, or go select the time indicator and hit N on your keyboard, so that you're only working on that part for a particular time. You'll see that we have created this little meteor kind of thing. We can also, what we'll do is we'll add the effect tint. Search for the effect tint. If you are stuck on this hand tool, just select the selection tool back or hit V on your keyboard. Meteor, and let's change the white color to light blue, somewhere around light blue, and let's add in the effect glow. Increase the intensity, and let's duplicate the glow again. Select the glow, hit Ctrl D on your keyboard, and let's duplicate the glow again, hit Ctrl D, so that we have a little good looking glow around our meteor. I think we'll color correct it again. And you can change the blending mode to add. So let's play back again. So we have something like this, and I think that's pretty decent. Now what you can also do is you can go into the meteor composition. You can duplicate this meteor, hit U on your keyboard to reveal the keyframes, and you can offset them. Just an idea. And see that you just click on this position so that both the keyframes are selected, and you can move them down. You can hit Ctrl D again, hit U on a keyboard, and just adjust the keyframe. Just get a random look to it. Adjust the keyframes and move the position. Move around with the position as you like. Let's see, go to your main composition again, render it out, and let's see what we have done. Again, I'm just giving you a basic idea. You can create like this. You can add in planets. See that you always track in, you pick whip it to the tracking data, add in details, add whatever you like. You have learned, you have got the idea. And the last thing I like to do is add in the cinematic bar. So let's make a black solid, select OK, and search for the effect CC jaws, drop it onto a solid, set the completion to 75, decrease the height, and what we'll do, we'll get it around 84, and we'll create a final adjustment layer and add some noise to our footage, because it looks much real if you, it gives you that realistic feeling. So search for the noise effect, noise, and drop it onto the adjustment layer and increase the value to somewhere around 8, set it to 8, select, set it to 8. So here we have it. Let's render it out. So here is the final result. Before, after, before, after. Pretty cool, right? Now there are many ways to replace this sky, and this was one method, using the color range effect and just brightening the parts and making it evenly lit. There are methods like using the color key effect, using luma mattes, using track mattes. There are many different, so this was just one of them. and I think it has done a pretty decent job of replacing this guy. So before, after. So hope you guys learned something new from it. I'm Infinite, and always remember, do what you love and do it well.
Okay.
Until then, I'll see you next time. Take care and bye bye.
What you going